whispered logic puzzles. Thank you for joining me. I'm Andrea, and I'm going to play through a level of Sandwich Sudoku. I'm on level 34. This is an 8-star level. In Sudoku, every row has the digits from 1 to 9 with no repeats. Every column has the digits from 1 to 9 with no repeats. And every 3 by 3 square, followed by a thicker border, has the digits from 1 to 9 with no repeats. This puzzle board only has 2 digits on it. So, if I were just putting numbers out to make it work, there would be numerous possibilities. But that's where the sandwich aspect comes in. As you can see, there are numbers to the side of each row and to the top of each column. The numbers to the side of the row is what you will get if you add up all of the digits sandwiched between the 1 and the 9 in this row. So in this row, the digits between the 1 and the 9 will add up to 28. And in these columns, the number up here is what you will get if you add up the digits that are sandwiched between the 1 and the 9 in this column. So when I play Sandwich Sudoku, the first thing I do is I look at my sandwiches and I find all of my 1s and my 9s. Since I have a 9 right here to start with, I'll look at this row, and in this row, the digits between the 1 and the 9 add up to 7. That can be done with 1 or 2 digits. That means if I go this way, this cannot be a 1 or a 1. Well, it can't be a 9 either. But if it's 1 digit, this will be the 1. And if it's 2 digits, this will be the 1. And if it goes this way, if it's 1 digit, this will be the 1. And 2 digits, this will be the 1. And I use my X's. And I mark an X in every spot that cannot be a 1 or a 9. And that will help me figure out where my 1s and my 9s are. In this column, the digits between the 1 and the 9 add up to 7 as well. And again, that can be done with 1 or 2 digits. So this cannot be a 1 or a 9, and neither can this. The 1 could be here or here. So the rest of this column is X's. Okay, so now what I do is I look at the numbers for each column and row and see if I can figure out anything. Like this column, the digits add up to 24. That's at least 4 digits. So any empty column where it can add up to a minimum of 4, 5, or 6 digits, I can do something with. Let's say a 1 or a 9 was at this edge. It's at least 4 digits in between, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. And the other 1 or 9 would be here. If I was at this edge, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. And a 1 or a 9 would be here. Either way, there's no way this center digit could be a 1 or a 9. Now, if it was a minimum of 5 digits, none of these 3 could be a 1 or a 9. And if it was a minimum of 6 digits, then none of these 5 digits could be a 1 or a 9. So that's kind of what I'm looking for now. has a minimum of 4 digits, so I'll put an X right here. This 23 has a minimum of 4 digits, so an X. 0 means they're right next to each other, so it'll be these two or these two. 29 has a minimum of 5 digits, so put X's there. Okay, these will be next to each other, okay. Alright, so up in this square, this is a 9. One of these two has to be a 1. Since it's a minimum of 4 digits between the 1 and the 9, that means this has to be an X. But if this is a 1, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that could be a 9. If this is a 1, we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one or this one could be the 9. So one of these 3 spots will be the 9. And then in this square, this is the 9. One of these has to be the 1. That means this has to be the 9. And then looking in this row, the 1 and the 9 are next to each other. So that puts the 1 right there, finishes this box and this row. Okay, so in this column, the digits between the 1 and the 9 add up to 8. That can be done with 1 or 2 digits. The 1 could be here or here, but not here. Okay, both of these rows, it's a 0. That means if the 1 is here, the 9 is here. And if the 1 is here, the 9 is here. So this cannot be a 1 or a 9. And now in this row, the digits add up to 5, which is 1 or 2 digits. So it doesn't go across the center. We can't have 1 over here and a 9 over here. But we could have a 1 and a 9 at the 2 edges over here. Or a 1 and a 9 at the 2 edges over here. Okay. Now with an extra X at the edge, that won't change what we know here. But in this column, that changes it because it's a minimum of 4 digits. So now I have 1 less digit at the edge. So if this is a 1 or a 9, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. It can't be. And then this row I know we'll have a 1 or a 9 over here and a 1 or a 9 over here. So that means either this is a 1 or a 9 or this is a 1 or a 9. And in this column, there's a minimum of 4 digits between the 1 and the 9. So if this is a 1 or a 9, I couldn't have the other one above. And if I want 1, 2, 3, 4, this would be the other one, the pair, on the other side of the sandwich. And over here, if this was a 1 or a 9, again it's a minimum of 4, so it can't be above here again, it adds up to 24, so there's 4 or 5 digits between the 1 or the 9. So the other could be here or here. So one of these two will be a 1 or a 9. That means I can put the X right there. And one of these will be a 1 or a 9, so this is the other one here. Okay, in this row, to make it 29, there are 5 or 6 digits between the 1 and the 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the other could be here or here. And in this column, there are 4 or 5 digits between the 1 and the 9. So there's 1 here. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other is right here. Okay, now this row, to make 28, there are 5 or 6 digits between the 1 and the 9. So do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the other could be here or here. Okay, let's look in this row again. This, in between the 1 and the 9, adds up to 24. I have an X at both edges, which changes things. So this is the furthest away I could be. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's now an X. Because this is the furthest I can be up here, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is eliminated. And then looking at this row, if this was the 1 or the 9, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits. Well, it can't be 6 digits, so this is not. That means this is a 1 or a 9, which finishes this column. And over here, this is a 1 or a 9, which finishes this square. And in this row, the digits between the 1 and the 9 add up to 23. That can be done with 4 or 5 digits. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. The other one could be here or here. And these are X's. Okay. With this 24, there will be a 1 or a 9 up here, and the other one will be down here. Well, if this is a 1 or a 9, then this has to be the other one because it's 0. And I know that these over here, it's either these two or these two. So here it's either these two or it's these two, which means the two far side digits cannot be a 1 or a 9. And now let's look at this column. Okay, it's a minimum of 3 digits. So if we have a 1 or a 9 here, it'll be 1, 2, 3. If we have a 1 or a 9 here, it'll be 1, 2, 3. So this is an X. That means they are right here and right here. So that finishes this row and this row. And this will finish this square. And then in this column, the digits between the 1 and the 9 add up to 6, which is 1 or 2 digits, while there's 2 digits that are already exited out. So this will be the other one, which finishes this column. And again, in this row, they're right next to each other, so this is the other one, which finishes the row and finishes the square. And these both are a 1 or a 9. But in this column, there's a 9, so I know this is the 1. That makes this the 9. Okay. Looking right here, between the 1 and the 9 in this column is 4 or 5 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, I'm going to have a 1 because there's a 9 in this row. Which puts an X here, and that means in this square, this is a 1. Okay, so now we've narrowed down a lot of stuff. We know that this is a 9. This is a 1. This is a 9. This is a 1. This is a 9. This is a 9. This is a 1. This is a 9. This is a 1. This is a 1. And this is a 9. So I've got all of my 1s and 9s. And I know for sure because I see them both grayed out down here. So I'm going to highlight everything on my board and get rid of these X's. And that way we can start looking at the sandwiches and figuring out what actual digits might be where. Okay, in this top row, I have 6 digits to make 28. There'll be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. It's missing the 7. So that's the digit outside of the pancake, or the sandwich. Outside of the sandwich. In this row I have 2 digits that make 7. In this row I have 4 digits that make 23. In this row I have 4 digits that make 23. These are next to each other. I have 6 digits to make 29. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. So the 6 is outside of the sandwich. These are right next to each other. Right next to each other. And here I've got 1 digit, so I've got my 5 in between the 1 and 9. Okay, here I've got 4 digits that make 18. 2 digits that make 6. That means these 2 digits are either a 2 or a 4. 4 digits that make 24. 4 digits that make 23. 2 digits that make 8. 2 digits that make 7. 4 digits that make 22. 4 digits that make 22. Also, there's a 5 outside of the sandwich. So anything with a 5 is not included. That means these digits are 3, 4, 7, and 8. There's already a 7 in this square. So these could be 3, 4, or 8. And these two could be 3, 4, 7, or 8. Okay, we've got 5 digits that make 24. And there's a 7 outside of the sandwich. So the digits will be 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. I can see there's also a 4 outside of the sandwich, so I will put that there. That means these 2, one of them is 3 and one is 8. So these 2 cannot be 3 this is 3, then I have 4, 5, 6, 7, and one of these is 8. And down here I have 1, 2, 3. I don't have a 4, then I have 5, 6, and I don't have a 7, then I have 8 and 9. Up here I have 1, I don't have a 2, I have 3, 4, I don't have a 5, I don't have a 6, then I have 7, 8, 9. Okay. Look in this row. I have 2 digits to make 7. There's a 4 outside of the sandwich, so it has to be 2 and 5. That means there will be a 2 and a 5 in here. So this can't have a 2 or a 5, so this is a 6. Okay, this is a 2 or a 5, a 3 or an 8. You know what? So this is adding up to 7 also, which is either 2, 5, or 3, 4. It can't be 2, 5 though, because then I would need a 2 or a 5 here, but they'll both be over here. So these 2 spots are a 3 and a 4. That means this is a 3 or a 4. That's not an option. This was a 2 or a 5, but there can't be a 2 anymore, so this is a 5. That makes this a 2. This is a 3 or an 8, but if we have a 3, it's going to be over here, because if we have a 3, we're not having a 4. So this has to be 8, and this has to be 3. So this is 3 or 4, then 5 and 8, so this is either 6 or 7 here. Okay, and in this row, I have a 1, I have a 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have 7 or 8. This column, I need to have a 7 or an 8, so this is not an option anymore. Let's see. You know what? Let's see. Okay. So there has to be a 2 in between here. It can't be down here, because I've already got a 2. And it can't be here, because this is a 7 or an 8. So this is a 2. Then I'll have, so if that's a 7 or 8, I'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, but I can't have a 4 down here, so I get rid of that. So one of these will be 3, and the other will be 5 or 6. I don't know if I should put those in yet. Let's see here. here, this is a 3 or 4, which means this one's no longer an option. Okay, something here. One of these will be a 5 because there has to be a 5 in here, which means this cannot be a 5. So with one of these being a 5, this is a 2, which means this is a 5. So I know this can't be a 5 and this can't be a 5. So this is no longer an option. We don't have an 8, so this is a 7, which makes this 8. So 2 and 7, these are 3 and 6. And in the square, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have 5, so this could be a 5, or this could be a 5 because there's 1 in this row. Then I have a 6. Then one of these will be 7. And one will be 8. So 5, 7, and 8. That means this will be a 4. That narrows us down to 3. And since this is a 3, I know that's no longer an option. So this has to be a 7. So in this row I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have 6, then 7, 8, 9. And up here I have 1, 2. I don't have 3. I have 4. Then I don't have 5. There's a 5 in this column though. So this has to be the 5. That makes this the 3. And let's go ahead and let's see. Actually, I could write what's in here. There's 1, 2, 3. I don't have a 4, so actually, that's narrowed down to a 4. So, one of these could be a 4 because there's not one in this column. Then here's a 5. And then 6, there's a 6 in this column, so one of these could be 6. Then 7. And then 8 is the last digit, so it has to go right here. And in this column, I have 1, 2, 3. I don't have 4. I don't have 5. There's a 5 in this row, so one of these can be 5. I have 6, 7, and I don't have 8. In this column, I have 1, 2. I don't have 3. Then there's 4, 5, 6. I don't have 7. Then there's 8, 9. In this column, I have 1. I don't have 2. Then I have 3, 4, 5. I don't have 6. There's a 6 in this row. So this is 6, which makes this 2. Okay. Let's see if I've got anything narrowed down here. Okay, since this is a 4 or a 6, I can't have both a 4 and a 6 in here. So I can do 5, 6. There will be a 7 and an 8 in here, but I can't narrow that down yet. Okay, this in here is either a 2 and a 6 or a 3 and a 5. There's a 6 in this row and a 6 in this row. So these are 3 and 5. And since these are a 3 and a 5, this can't be a 5, so this is a 2, which makes this a 5. Now in this column, I can't have a 5. So this will be 2, 6, and 7, 8. Okay. And that is narrowed down to 7, and that's narrowed down to 4. moves this down to 2, and this to 4. Okay, so now let's look here. So 2, 6, 7, 8. There's a 2 and a 7 in this row. So this is 6 or 8. And here, there's a 2. So this is 6 and 7 or 8. Here, there's a 6. So this is 2, 7 or 8. And here I've got a 6. So, and a 2. So this is 7 or 8. And since there's a 6 in here, it can't be up here, so this is a 4. That makes this a 6. And in this column, I have 1. There is the 2. Actually, there's only one option for the 2 in here. And then I don't have a 3. So this is a 3. And 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is narrowed down to 5. This is narrowed down to 3. This is narrowed down to 8. This is narrowed down to 3. This is narrowed down to 6. This is narrowed down to 3. Okay. So in this column, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3. I don't have a 4. The 4 can't be here because there's already a 4, so this is 4. Then 5, 6, 7. This is 8, which narrows this down to 5. This is narrowed down to 6, and this is 7. And this is 8, and this is 7. This is narrowed down to 8. This is 7. This is 3. This is 4. This is 8, and this is 5. This one's 7, and this is 3. This is 8, and this is 4. Okay, in this square I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have 5. Down here I have 1. I don't have 2. There's a 2 in this row, so this is 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is